employees' account numbers. The reason why I'm showing you this one is because this is going to help you shut down your employer when he's trying to steal your money out your check, say he's got to do this and he's got to do that. Well, this is the employees' account numbers. If you guessed it, that it's your social security number is an account number. That's what this is talking. This is what this is talking about. And let me go and read it. I'm going to read through this. I might skip a few sections. Try to cover what applies to most people. So here we go. 26 CFR 31.6011B-2 employees account numbers. Requirement of application in general. I'm skipping number 1 because that's before 1962 and may not apply to most people right now. But here we go. 2. On or after November 1st, 1962, every employee who on any day after October 31st, 1962, is in employment for wages which are subject to the taxes imposed by the Federal Insurance Contribution Act, or which are subject to the withholding of income tax from wages under Section 3402, but who prior to such day has neither secured an account number nor made application therefore, shall make an application on Form SS5 for an account number. So, what's an account? Yeah, they call it an account number. And they also said Federal Insurance Contribution Act. That's FICA. That's that
Right.
person. Mute your mic, everyone. I know what I'm gonna do. I will do it. All right, if y'all can mute your mic, thank you. It's got it. All right, sorry about that. All right, let's look at what Wikipedia says about the Federal Insurance Act. It says the Federal Insurance Contribution Act is a United States federal payroll or employment contribution directed towards both employees and employers to fund Social Security and Medicare. Federal programs that provide benefits for retirees, people with disabilities, and children of deceased workers. So FICA is for retirement, people with disabilities, and children of deceased workers. Okay, so it's not just for retirement. So you might know someone or you might have someone in your home that is disabled. And that's what that money is funding, right? And they said it's a contribution. So what's the definition of a contribution? Okay, because, when I think of contribution, it's a gift or payment to common fund or collection. Donation, here's the synonyms. Is my screen big enough? I'll make it a little bigger. Donation, gift, offering, present, handout, grant, subsidy, allowance, endowment, subscription, benefaction. So, by their definition, that FICA is a gift. You're giving a gift to this FICA fund. And it's not mandatory, as they may say. You have to give up this money. You have to give away this money. Like your employer would say, and so many people with street logic would say, because the only knowledge they got is what somebody told them. Like most people on this planet, their knowledge is hearsay. So that's a contribution. Let's go back. 3, method of application. The application shall be prepared in accordance with the form, instruction, regulations applicable thereto, and shall set forth fully and clearly the data therein called for. The employee shall file the application with the District Office of Social Security Administration, or if the employee is not working within the United States, with the District Office of Social Security Administration at Baltimore, Maryland. Form SS5 may be obtained from any district office of the Social Security Administration or from any district director. An account number will be assigned to the employee for the Social Security Administration in due course upon the basis of information reported on the application required under this section. A card showing the name and account number of the employee to whom an account number has been assigned will be furnished to the employee by the Social Security Administration. So let's break this paragraph down. This sheds a lot of light on what's going on. First of all, the only time you're supposed to even get a Social Security card is when you're getting ready to go to work, because they're telling you to apply for it when you're, going for a job. That's when you need it, and it's needed for the FICA fund if you want to give that money to FICA. So basically, if you're reading this correctly, they're saying you really don't need a Social Security card or an account number unless you're ready to give away some money. Yeah, FICA is on everybody's check, Marco. All right. FICA's been robbing y'all. Time for filing Form SS5. The application shall be filed on or before the 7th day after the occurrence of the first day of employment. It's telling you when to fill out an SS5 form. But yet, SS5 forms are filled out for children, babies. Okay. Reference made in paragraph A1 of this section. Unless the employee leaves the employer of his employer before such 7th day, in which case the application shall be filed on or before the date on which the employee leaves the employee of his employer. So it's telling you, if you're going to get a job and you want to give some money away, it needs to be done on or before the 7th day on that job, the first job you get. That's when you go get an account number. That makes sense, right? When you turn of age, you go get your own account numbers, you go to the bank, you open up your own account when you're ready to put money in it, right? 3, changes and correction. Any employee may have his account number changed at any time by applying to a district office of the Social Security Administration and showing good reason for a change. With that exception, only one account number will be assigned to an employee. Any employee whose name is changed by marriage or otherwise, or who has stated incorrect information on Form SS5 should report such change or correction to a district office of the Social Security Administration. Copies of the form for making such reports may be obtained from any district office of the administration. So, we have been misled that we need, even when you look at the 1040 and doing a tax return and you have children, they're not even supposed to have an account number yet. But they're wanting to you. I think it's if they're over 2 years old, 1 or 2, you have to have a social to put on there to claim them as a dependent, or they won't give it to you. Okay. Duties of employee with respect to his account number. 1. Information to be furnished to employee. An employee shall, on the day on which he enters the employer of an employer for wages, comply with provisions of paragraph B1, 1, 2, 3, or 4 of this section, except that if the employee's services for the employer consist solely of agricultural labor, domestic service in a private home of the employer, not on a farm operated for profit, or service not in the course of the employee's trade or business. The employee shall comply with such provision on the first day on which wages are paid to him by such employer, within the meaning of Section 31.3, 3121A-2. I suggest you guys go and read whenever they refer to a code, go read it. All right? I'm not going to read it because for the sake of time. Because as you can see, these codes are extensive and a lot of times you have to read it several times to really pick it up. Okay, now, employee who has an account number card. If the employee has been issued an account number card by the Social Security Administration and this has the card available, the employee shall show it to the employer. Employee who has a number but card not available. If the employee does not have available the account number card issued to him by the Social Security Administration but knows what his account number is and what his name is, exactly as shown on such card, the employee shall advise the employer of such number and name. Care must be exercised that the employee is correctly advised of such number and name. Employee who has receipt acknowledging application. If the employee does not have an account number card but has available a receipt issued to him by an office of Social Security Administration acknowledging that an application for an account number has been received, the employee shall.
Peace, peace. What's up? What's up? What's up? It is Tuesday, October the 7th, 2025. Another episode of the Truth Tuesday show, which has been running strong for 10 years straight. 10 years of doing this show. 10 years. That's an accomplishment. I've never even kept a job for 10 years. Like a regular job. I'm always switching out because I was going to make more money, things like that. And so I wasn't loyal to jobs. Like if I could go and make some more money, I was out. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about birth certificates. But before we do that, hey, make sure you guys can hear me pretty good. The two things are out. We got the IRS webinar that happened over the weekend, the new one. That's going to help you deal with lawsuits, letters, better than the other IRS webinars that I did in the past. And the weekend before that, we did the Indigenous Passport webinar. So we did that too. But that's only available to members of my group that's in the school group. You got to join the school group to be able to watch that and pay the fee for that particular video. So that's how that's rolling. It's not going to be on my website, akimel.com. It's not going there. It's for my exclusive members to be able to do their process, claim their nationality properly through their passport. And I mean properly. That's why over the last couple of weeks I was showing you stuff like the indigenous tribes and things like that. So that's kind of a preview to what to expect in that webinar. So go to my website, go to school.com and see if I could pull it up here and give y'all the link to join up. And the community is 31 members in there now. Now I got 30 pending invitations from my premium members that haven't all gotten in there just yet, but they'll be in there. But the group is strong. So let's get the invite link. Invite, copy. Now, when you just the $39.99 joining, when you join up, that's going to give you access to a whole lot of resources just alone. Like the old IRS webinars. There it is. I just put it in the chat. And guess what? If you're a member of my school group, you refer somebody, you guys get affiliate. You get paid to share the group to other people. It's like 40% just for sharing. Just for sharing. So people. What I notice people do is they get information and then they give it away free. They pay for it and they give it away free to other people. That's not how it's supposed to work. You pay for it, make them pay for it, because people don't value free. How many times have you given something to somebody for free and they've really taken advantage of what you did? So that's an indication. Stop doing that. Stop giving people stuff for free. If you're going to pay for it, let them pay for it as well. Okay? Come on. Please, you're supporting the cause. Now, if they pay for it, you're getting a portion of whatever they're doing over there. So, but the school platform is off the chain. I like this platform. You could ask questions in there. You join that, you can go ahead and put your questions in there. We're gonna have group sessions in there. $39.99. It's cheaper than the other one when I had it on Teachable. And this is, to me, a lot better. You see? So, and you get credit for actually commenting and building with other people. You get points to open up. Like, I got some of the more advanced stuff where you got to participate more than it open up those videos to you. And no question is a stupid question in the group. You can go ahead and ask your questions. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. There it is. That's the group. And that's the classroom with all of the different things. Now, when you become a standard member, you get access to all of the IRS course disputes. Not the new one. This is the new one right here. But you can pay for that, and you'll get lifetime access to it. Power of attorney, name correction affidavit, the passport, 98 number, how to get your EIN number without an SSN. How to get it without and I ain't talking about just the 98 number. You can get any number without an SSN. Been doing that successfully for a couple of years now. Of course, the birth certificate authentication webinar, public and private webinar, different seminars. Right now, they think I got Georgia in there. I'm going to put my other seminars in there. Now, I have some old seminars that I did when Hindsight Radio had other members like Jonah Bay, and so I still have those seminars. Do y'all want to see those seminars? I mean, those seminars did have good information in it. Let me see by the chat. If y'all want me to put those seminars, those old seminars from back in the day in here, you get to watch them for free. You don't have to buy them. Y'all want me to do that? Hold on. Bolden said he liked the school group. Or I'm sorry. She likes the school group. Thank you. So right here is the Indigenous Passport webinar. I got Dr. Daniels interviews in there. 3 of them. I'm gonna put I got other stuff like her tooth pain, like if you got a toothache, how to get rid of that. I'm gonna put that in there. So, and this is like just different resources from different places. I don't endorse all of this stuff completely, but it's good information to research. This is where I got, information that I researched and read and got from other people and based on their teachings and stuff that, to me, hit or miss. But this is only a fraction of what's is going to be going in there. Then on top of that, I got to upload all of my teachable classes from 2019 until now. So every 2 weeks meetings, and then there was a time we were doing them every week. That's a lot of videos I got to get in there. So, but this is the credit repair bundle is only $27. Y'all need to take advantage of that because if you don't, it's going up to $79 soon. And periodically, I'm going to be leaving instructions in there, like little short video instructions in there. So be ready for that. All right. I think the school already been running for a month so far. Because I see 26 days. Yeah. All right. There you go. So, I got a document that I put together for us to talk about the birth certificate and the contrast between the Bible and the government's birth certificate. So I'm going to share this little thing I put together here. Give me 1 second. Let's turn. Let's do this. All right. I'm going to share my screen again. All right. Y'all should be able to see that. Y'all should be able to see that, right? History of birth recording, biblical versus state birth certificates. So let me, before I do that, Indies Circle Ministry said, if you haven't been to a seminar, you're missing out. If you're not a member of the school, you're definitely missing out. I know myself has had Real Remedy. And I've tried to send 2 people your way this week, but they just like to talk about their problems, but don't want to do. That's a lot of people, bro. That's who you know not to mess with, right there. You give them the remedy. Thanks for the 10-year congratulations, and you let them roll. You see, so Bolden said, please put those up. So y'all want those old ones when I was up with the other group? All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put everything in there. Like y'all know that I was the one who recorded every seminar. Like from back in the day, the accord and satisfaction, injunction, I got it all. The old discharge that never worked. You know what? I'm going to just put the stuff in there, and I'm going to put it in the section called research. I'm going to put it in that section. All the old stuff. I ain't holding back. I got every last one of those webinars. See, if y'all notice, when I advance in the knowledge. I make changes and advance, especially with this new passport process. It's gonna be hard for them to keep up on this one. Because actually the webinar, I showed 2 templates in that webinar. But that's not the templates I'm using because, I have a fee. I will do your passport for you, get your indigenous status correction, your tribal affiliation connected to your passport for you. But I have a whole different template that I use for myself. Now, the one I show in the video, it's good. It's going to do the same thing. But, I got some proprietary methods or things that I'm putting in there. So, if y'all want me to do your passport for you, where I do the work, is $14.97. Period. $14.97 to do it. I'll process everything, do the paperwork. All you got to do is show up to go get your passport. And it's one thing that you got to do with this one that I didn't really make it a requirement the last time. But the only way you're going to know is you get the video or you hire me to do it. All right, so let's go to history of birth recording, biblical versus state birth certificates. So this document compares a sacred and lineage-based birth recording system found in the Bible with the modern state birth certificate system. It highlights how birth acknowledgement transitioned from divine covenantal, see the word, covenantal recognition to a legal and bureaucratic process under civil law. Let me look at this word covenantal. Covenantal refers to the nature of characteristics of a covenant, which is a deep binding agreement or contract between 2 or more parties, often involving solemn promises, mutual obligations, and shared goal. It is deeply relational and often sacred agreement that creates a lasting bond similar to a marriage, but can also refer to legal contracts, political pacts, or agreements in religious contexts, such as the biblical covenants God made with humanity. I want y'all to understand something. Everything since I've been preaching, my show's got to be surrounded by some biblical principles or some spiritual teachings here on out. Okay? So right now I'm showing you how the methodology of how we brought children into this world was a sacred covenant between the mother and the father and the family and the church or whatever religious structure we had. We have turned birth giving or having children into a business, and it's not spiritual at all. And this is why we're having problems. We're not connected to our ancestral rituals and practices. The cycle of life is man, woman, child. That's the cycle of bringing in more spiritual beings into this realm so that they can remember who they are and level up and transform and transcend the physical realm that we're in right now. Everybody is on a journey or on a process of transcending and not so much identifying with the body. So you're given a body so that you cannot be tied or dependent on the body. This is really a training ground to be able to be encapsulated in this biological suit that is meant to navigate the environment of this particular realm. But it was never meant for you to be that. It's like you go in the water and you put this thing on so that you can be able to breathe in the water, but that's not you. You're inside of it so that you can navigate the underwater realm. So now we get man's power structures has created these birth certificates systems to pull you away from your true identity. So number one, biblical birth recording. In biblical times, births were recorded to establish lineage, inheritance, and tribal identity. These records were sacred, often maintained by families or temple scribes, reflecting one's covenantal relationship with God rather than any state authority. Example, Genesis 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam. So the genealogy part for the lineage of Adam was found in Genesis 5. Numbers 118, families were recorded by their fathers' houses. And that's important because in our ancestry, what it was the fathers who made pacts with other fathers and brought houses together to band for spiritual and also military strength. You see, they made pacts, they made covenants. And in the Bible also, the firstborn child was always supposed to be dedicated to God, and a special sacrifice was to go be done on behalf of that firstborn child. When the last time we did something like that as a people? But we made or we dedicated our firstborn to God. Because that's how they got blessings. They dedicate your first one. And from that first one, all the blessings came. Numbers 118, families were recorded by their fathers' houses. Ezra 262, only those with verifiable genealogy were accepted into priestly service. Births were also marked through covenantal acts such as circumcision or naming ceremonies. Genesis 17:12. Let's see what Genesis 17:12 said. Let's just take a gander at that. Throughout your generations, every male among you shall be circumcised when he is 8 days old, including the slave born in the house and the one brought with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring. So that's after 8 days they had to do circumcision. That was part of the ritual. Luke 2:21. I think that basically says the same thing. I think I read that earlier. Luke 2:21. After 8 days had passed, it was time to circumcise the child, and he was called. This is the circumcision of Jesus, the name given by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. That's interesting. They said Jesus, because I remember them saying Emmanuel. Let me see. To the virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, and the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Greetings, Father, favored one. The Lord is with you." But she was much perplexed by his words and pondered what sort of reading this might be, the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God, and now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus." Okay, it says Jesus here, but I remember there was another one that said Emmanuel. And we all remember I did the name meaning of the name Mary, Divine Mother. I think I did a whole show on that. Some dialects it means beloved. But when I did the research, it was Mary was the divine womb. I don't have time to go pull out my paperwork on that. Um, State birth certificates. So here's the comparison of the state birth certificates. Let me get this. So state birth certificates. The state birth certificate emerged from European civil registration practices, initially kept by churches in England, 1538. So the churches kept the birth certificates under the European system. The responsibility shifted to civil governments in the 19th century for taxation, conscription, and legal identity purposes. By the early 1900s, every U.S. state had established a vital records office. A birth certificate functions as a legal instrument confirming citizenship, identity, and jurisdiction under statutory law. So that's why I told you guys that authenticating the birth certificate, you only showing jurisdiction to them under statutory law. That's why you have to create your own birth record and get that fully authenticated and use that as your identity. I'm telling you, I know this works. There's a reason why I'm doing this without going into heavy detail. Telling you, you have to. I don't care if you're 67 years old. Go and create your own record. Get it notarized. Get the notary authenticated. Then fully authenticate that thing all the way up to the Fed level and use that. See, everybody, just get it notarized. Nah, you gonna take it all the way up. Is you gonna make this an international document? Because they're gonna ask you what country you using it in. You just pick the one country. Key milestone 1538, parish registration order by King Henry VIII. 1902, U.S. Census Bureau standardizes vital records. 1933, all U.S. states adopt uniform birth registrations. Comparison. Here's the comparison summary. Aspect, authority. Biblical birth record, family, tribe, or priesthood. State birth certificate, civil government register. See, everybody wants, I want to create my own birth certificate. Stop calling them birth. You don't create birth certificates for tribal or family records. You create a biblical birth record. Certificates is for bondmen, bond women, bond children, slaves. Showing a certificate of ownership. Okay, for some reason, people, I want to create one like this and make it look like this. Why? What for? Oh, so it can look pretty. You create records. Whenever they did something here, they kept a record. This is basically a record. It's not a certificate. This is a record written on parchment paper. A record of the things that happened in the past and prophecies and guess what? Rituals. This is a record of the rituals. They actually detail how to do these rituals in here. It's a record, not a certificate. Purpose, lineage, inheritance, covenant, and covenant identity, legal identity, citizenship, taxation. So certificates is to show ownership so that you can be taxed. Okay, I'm telling you, when we use those birth certificates to do our passport, we were only 80% correct. But through revelation and inspiration, spiritual inspiration, I see now we can't use that. And just to give a hint, you have to go stand before Caesar in order to demand your case or demand your passport. You got to go in front of Caesar, or at least Caesar's representatives. I know some of y'all may be confused or have an idea of what I'm thinking about, but you don't. You don't know what I'm talking about. And as I'm thinking, something just hit me. All right. Nature, ecclesiastical, spiritual record, civil, contractual record. Yeah, that birth certificate is a contract. Social security number, a contract. It's evidence of the created estate for the benefit of the state and the federal state. Jurisdiction, divine natural law. On the biblical birth record, state birth certificate, statutory administrative law, recognition, witness and genealogy, state birth certificate, government seal and registration number, registered registration. That legal entity is a registered entity under the statutory administrative law, which is also, in retrospect, also it's a religion too. It's a religious organization. And I'll go back and confirm that it's a religious organization just by pulling up their founding documents and tell you. Somebody pick a state in the chat and we'll just go there and we'll open up. I'll show you the religious aspects of it. Identity source, faith, tribe, and covenant. Registered legal person. So all you doing when you authenticating a birth certificate is registering a legal person. So you must create a counter deed. You must counter that. You must rebut that. You must stop using that. Conclusion, biblical birth acknowledgement was sacred and spiritual, recognizing natural life and covenant membership with their family and tribe. So when a child is born, they had a ritual. They did their ritual, whether it be sacrifices. They made dedications to God. They were rightfully bringing and passing life into this realm the ritualistic, biblical, scriptural, ecclesiastical, spiritual way. Modern birth certificates, however, establish a legal identity with civil jurisdiction, a transformation from divine acknowledgement to bureaucratic registration. This is why whenever you show those documents, they always assume to you to be one of them. Remember, be in the world, but not of the world. You're not one of them. We never was one of them. They created the 14th Amendment to trick you into wanting privileges as a U.S. citizen. Period. Period. So let's get some constitutions pulled up. Let's go to the New York Constitution, 1777. Give me a second. All right, here in the New York Constitution of 1777, let me share the screen with you. It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the government, governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing the powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to edict their safety and happiness. So, right there, they're acknowledging that they were entitled by God to do this. It says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature of nature's gods entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. So they say that is their God-given right to do what they, because this is like the Constitution to break off from Great Britain. But let's go to some other constitutions. Let's go to I always go here. Is this the one? No, this is the not what I was looking for. Let's do this. Let's make it local. Well, I need to make it bigger. Come on. As you can see right there, I don't know why. Okay, there we go. Constitution of the State of South Carolina. We, the people of the State of South Carolina Convention of Civil, grateful to God for our liberties, do ordain. They say they were grateful to God first. They gave tribute to God. Then they ordained. Don't you realize this is their covenant with God to make all of this? This is what they're doing. Grateful to God for our liberties, do ordain and establish His Constitution for the preservation and perpetuation of the same. Go to another constitution. Let's see. It was, when I was doing injunctions for people, I pretty much looked at almost all of these constitutions. We, the people of the state of North Carolina, grateful to Almighty God, the sovereign ruler of nations, for the preservation of the American Union. So they're saying God preserved them. These are their first tribute was to their God. But see what they did, their first tribute was to their God to create these governments, and then they gave you the option to give your first tribute to them. Let me show you how deep it is, right? Let's go. Hang on. I'm gonna make this connection for y'all to see how deep this thing is going. Hang on. I talked about it, but I'm gonna dig into it deeper. So it's in Exodus. Exodus chapter 13. This is deep. And we've been doing this under the direction of our parents and their parents. We've been following this because they gave us a misfit form of religion and a misfit form of rituals to follow that had nothing to do with our God. Nothing. So chapter 13 of Exodus. Well, let me just share this. I'll just share this here. It says in chapter 13, the Lord said to Moses, set apart to me every firstborn male, the firstborn male among the people of Israel, and the firstborn male animal are mine. So God said that the firstborn male was theirs, and everything else firstborn with the animals was God's. So what we're doing when we go to these establishments like hospitals and have children, and we sign over our children's footprints and all of this stuff, we're giving our child up to them. We're dedicating and consecrating our child to their church and to false gods. Because even in the Bible, God had punished his people who had done that. Those people were sacrificing to they had a thing where they gave up their children. Other religious groups were giving up their children to God, to their gods. So basically, we are following the script of the Bible, but we're doing it towards these governments. Y'all got think about it. And we're doing it for what? I two people that I know of. I didn't really help them, but I came like on the back end of things. Gave their children back up to the government after they had home births. They didn't get birth certificates, but they wanted the benefits. They wanted the refunds. They wanted the all those things that the government offers. So they went and got their little birth certificates so they can get their social and they could get those government documents. Why? Because it's easier. They believed it was easier. Instead of taking and being patient, so with them, they're gonna suffer a harder fate because they knew. and they went in. Some of us came into this and it was just thrown on us. We was forced to accept these things, basically, because we didn't know. But now we have the knowledge. I'm giving y'all the knowledge of what needs to be done. I know you're not gonna be, you're gonna still be able to travel with these things because they made a way out. And I told y'all it was hidden in the code. A national is one who owes allegiance to a state. But the thing is, they never really gave you clarity on what state was. I gave you the clarity, what it is. That's why you got people running around trying to be U.S. nationals, state nationals of the U.S. and swear they know. That's let them. Hey, still you keep your blind mind. Keep it. There's only one thing you're supposed to be claiming is your ancestral affiliations. Because once we disconnected from that, what would happen? We got mislabeled, relabeled. We got paper genocide. That's what happened. And we still want to do this after we see the results of what's happening to us by accepting these things. I just think people just some of these people just straight dumbasses because I gotta get it because I want this, and they think they sound good, and it's all surrounding some type of poverty mindset. And no, when they start talking like that, go ahead. I don't even want to have a conversation with you at that point. Go ahead and worship your governmental God and do what they say. Follow the rules so you can get your little check, your little money. And here, God made a lot of promises with his people. All they had to do was keep his commandments. They were a separate people, separate nation, separate processes, separate rituals. This is a model of how we supposed to live our daily lives. This is a model. This is a script. All right. Let's find some more. While I'm hot on the topic, let's find some more constitutions. Let's look up Georgia's constitution. Am I spelling that right? Here it is again. Every one of these constitutions is dedicated to God to perpetuate the principles of free government, ensure justice to all, preserve peace, promote the interests and happiness of the citizen of the family, and transmit to posterity the enjoyment of liberty. We, the people of Georgia, relying upon the protection and guidance of Almighty God, do ordain and establish this Constitution. This is Georgia. Now, this is a self-authenticating Constitution, so you could actually print this off, and this is evidence because it's got a certificate on it, Georgia Fulton County, certifying that this is a county. Some states do that where you can use the online version as a authenticated or copy of their constitution. They have self-authenticating constitutions. They put this little page with it, certificate. This is certified pursuant to the provision of Article 11, Section 1, Paragraph 5 of the proposed new Constitution State of Georgia. The undersigned, who constitute the entire membership of the commission created by said paragraph, have performed the duties prescribed in said paragraph and have incorporated a separate amendment referred to in said paragraph into the Constitution, which is attached. The undersigned further certify that the attached document is being delivered to the Secretary of State and as is provided in said paragraph, said document on July 1st, 1983 shall be the Constitution of the State of Georgia. This first day, March 1983, then there's all the signatures. Okay? That's Georgia. Right at the beginning. They put in, they give credit to God, right? That's called giving up the firstborn. Firstborn ain't just a baby, it's things, the things you do. This first fruits go to God. See, the churches here have taught y'all, give y'all tithe 10% and just hope God take care of you. That's what's been going on. Pray. He'll just pray on it. He'll make it better. I hope y'all get it. Somebody said Illinois. All right, let's go to Illinois. Why is it like this? Same thing in Illinois. We the people of the state of Illinois, grateful to Almighty God for the civil, political, and religious liberty which we have permitted, he has permitted us to enjoy. They saying God permitted them to enjoy this. He has permitted us to enjoy and seeking his blessing upon our endeavors in order to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the people, maintain a representative and orderly government, eliminate poverty and inequality, assure legal, social, and economic justice, provide opportunity for the fullest development of the individual, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and secure blessings of freedom and liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the state of Illinois. Right out the gate, it says, grateful to Almighty God and seeking his blessing upon our endeavors. That's a prayer. That is a prayer. Okay? That's a prayer. Somebody said certificates. Why does it not let me put this thing out? Certificates are to show ownership so that you can be tax powerful statement. Absolutely, yes. The moment I stopped using my mother's maiden name at court, it made the judge leave the room. No jurisdiction. I'm okay. Not using your mom's name. Thou shalt not covet unless you have your father's name. You shall be bastards unto the 10th generation. The state compels you to use your mother's maiden name, probation, etc. And that's another thing. Like this new generation of people. Oh, I don't want the father's name. We want the mother's name. Or they do the hyphenated names. Or even now, the women are not even taking the husband's name anymore. They keeping their old names. And this is the mindset. It was an order you showed us in a child support case, and a dad used the Bible to win something about the blessing if God is given from the father house or something. Yes, absolutely. Yep. There was a guy who used the Bible and said This is my constitution, the Bible. My children are part of my estate. He said those words. I used to play the recording all the time. This is why they want the mother to fill out the birth certificate, because that's a bastard. In the eyes of their religion, that's a bastard child. Legally, within their statutes of their religious organization. So I want y'all to understand, everything that you're doing and associating with them is according to their bylaws, their constitution, what constitutes a bastard. So when they get the mother to do it according to their statutes, that's a bastard child. And because it's a bastard child, the state must intervene. Okay? The state must intervene. Because it's a fatherless boy, fatherless girl. Oh, you might be around, but according to the state, according to their statutes and rules, you are fatherless. And according to their rules, fathers are a big part of things, because when they discuss lineage, they just says Adam begot this one, Seth begot that, and then Seth's son begot this one. This is according to their rules and regs and how they run things. So that's why they handle business a certain way in their system. So if you're playing around in their system with those things and you are labeled a certain way, they treat you differently. But when you have your stuff recorded, instead of creating certificates, you create a record of the divine act of childbirth. You are doing it according to the law of your God. See, the biggest law that you need to worry about breaking is spiritual law. Remember they what it said? You could blaspheme certain ways, but if you blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, there's no forgiveness for that. And in the Bible, whenever they blaspheme against the Holy Spirit or they worship another God, there was punishment. Solomon was the richest and wisest man in the world of his time. And he started worshiping other gods, and God tore that kingdom away from him. As the minute he started doing that, now he had all kind of wives. He had so many wives. God didn't care about that. It was when he allowed the Holy Land to be infiltrated by false gods and building statues to them. Like someone said they built pillars to these gods. Thou shalt not covet unless you have your father's name. You shall be a bastard unto the 10th generation. The state compels you to use your mother's maiden name, probation, etc. That's what he's saying. The moment I stop using, okay, well, I read that. Somebody said UCC 2-105 definition of good includes the unborn. Let's look it up. Let's look up UCC 2-105. Let's look that up. It said goods means all things, including especially manufactured goods was movable at the time. Let me share the screen for y'all. Manufactured goods which are movable at the time of identification to the contract for sale, other than the money in which the price is to be paid. Investment securities, Article 8, and things in action. Goods also includes the unborn young of animals and growing crops, other identified things attached to realty described in the section. It says unborn animals. That's why I like to read things. I don't see it say unborn child. So what did his quote say? Unborn means unborn animals. That's according to what this is saying. That's a good. Those are goods. So it didn't say child, so we're not going to stretch it out that far. Yeah, the state's the baby daddy. The state's the baby daddy. This is why they allow the moms to get the benefits and get all of the so-called goodies from the state and ostracize the father. They make him a slave to their child. The father, because he pays the child support, he becomes the slave. He becomes indebted to the state for producing this bastard child, as they define it. That's his punishment. You got my woman pregnant. Now you pay for her and the child. Now you understand why they do things the way they in court. Because that's they woman. That's their legal woman. They let her see. Y'all don't know. Y'all been in a legal poly relationship all this time. Y'all didn't even know it. the state ain't gotta hit the skins. He just want the money. He big daddy at the top. Yeah, let her go over here to this house, to that guy house, let her get pregnant. Cause he gonna cut, or they gonna bring all that money to me. Do y'all see what's happening? You give up your firstborn, you give up your child to them through by way of birth certificate, social security number. Because what do they want? What do they want when if the child don't have a social, they can't transact business without those things. The government been delving into poly relationships and y'all didn't even see it. He been leasing out, allowing y'all to just hook up, do all of these things, have these children, bring them to him, let him create the birth certificate. Now I create liability, create a debt instrument off of it. They want y'all to be promiscuous. They want y'all to be having children out of wedlock. It's all by design. They want you to have multiple baby daddies. Listen, let me tell y'all something. When the government want to stop something, they stop it. Case in point, you talk about a certain group of people, they shut you down immediately. So if they could do that, they could stop all of this nonsense with people having children by different ones and having children for the sake of just collecting welfare. They could stop that. They could stop it. Because they stop when it's convenient, they stop it. They'll go fly planes over and drop bombs on people. When see, those types of situations are not good for our community, but it's good for their community. It creates commerce for their community. It creates revenue for their community. See, so as long as it's benefiting them, they will allow that. They'll allow you to keep having these babies, getting these divorces, and splitting up your families so they can divide the incomes of everybody. That's good for business. Keeps the lawyers paid, keeps them in business. When a woman decides she don't want to be married anymore because it's not a good relationship, she's not feeling it anymore, or the husband decides to go, go hook up with somebody else behind his wife's back. I mean, all kind of things. These are necessary things to keep this society moving forward with the way they operate. You see what I'm saying? Thanks for the super chat, $1.99. Thank you for that, brother. Let's highlight that. Let's highlight that. He paid $1.99 on the service. Appreciate it. You see what I'm saying? Y'all really got to get it. Because there's certain groups, the same people you cannot say anything about without them shutting down. They don't get birth certificates. They don't do all of that. They do everything within the confines of their religious beliefs. And all I'm doing is saying, don't hate on it. Just emulate that. That's all I'm saying. Use that technique to your advantage because it's open for everyone to do it. But see, the problem is everybody wants convenience at the expense of being a slave. That's your expense. That convenience, that birth certificate, that social is your slave instrument, your bond instrument. It says it in, you'll be carried off as a bond women and bond men. That's what it is. That's what it is. When you unravel what's going on and you really see it for what it is, it's hard to unsee it. But what's even harder is when you try to describe it to some of these zombies out here, and they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Yeah, why are we even talking about them? Just meatheads. Walking Dead. And I don't sit to the table with the Walking Dead. I don't have conversations with them. When I realize I'm talking to the Walking Dead, I leave them right there, dead and stinking in their thinking. That's it. We have no more to talk about. They don't get to sit at the table that I eat. They don't get to sit there and do business with me. Want no parts of that. See, if you study the Bible closely, these people were insulated in their businesses. They didn't need outside to survive. They had their own thing, their own community economics going. We can do that. But the problem is we're handicapped by conveniences and thinking, oh, what about this? And what about that? What about electricity? What about water? I told y'all, you can get electricity out there in the woods. There's ways they got now with all these solar power things. Just invest in that. You can build your own water. Listen, all you got to do, there's people in the country been living generation after generation off well water. No city water to this day. And the city don't have no plans on building out in those areas. But because we want conveniences, we want to tap into what they're doing, we pay the price of being enslaved to their system and bills. Period. That's right. Legal poly relationship is crazy. That's right. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. When you get a marriage certificate, that's a poly relationship between you, your wife, and the government. Only thing, the government making the rules. Telling you how to discipline your children. This is another cog in this well-built system. Bolden says diabolical. Absolutely, it is diabolical when you really unravel this. That's why we really got to get on this process that I'm talking about. really separate. There's groups that have created tribes and they're missing some pieces. And the only reason why they're missing pieces because they haven't read the rules all the way through. You see, some of them, we want to be separate, but at the same time, they got these connections. No, 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 no. You don't need the connections. Somebody said, how can I help someone who already has their password? Get a consultation at gmail.com. Go here, and I'll tell you how. Get a consultation. I charge $14.97 to help you unravel that. All right, it's 8:21. I think I went in on you for you guys. I went in. So with that being said, everyone, peace, prosperity, extreme wealth, and look forward to another True Tuesday. 10 years I've been doing this. 10 years and progressing all the time. Progressing. So peace, prosperity, extreme wealth to everyone. Have a good night. I'm out.